the Hawai'i Pacific University campus at Aloha Tower Marketplace, here's your host, Hawai'i Pacific University's Vice President and Chief Marketing Communications Officer, Jeffrey Rich.
Aloha, Sharks Nation. We are once again live on the campus of Hawai'i Pacific University at Aloha Tower Marketplace here at the HPU Esports Arena, powered by DSE Hawaii. It's a lot of acronyms, but all good and all incredibly beautiful places and wonderful supporters of HPU athletics. So I'm your host, Jeff Rich, and we are back again for another installment of Sharks Weekly. Today, we are going to put the spotlight on HPU's new men's and women's tennis coach, Dan Pollock, and he's brought along a couple of members of the men's team, sophomore Adam Vasir and freshman Julius. But before we get to all things tennis, I want to welcome to the show our in-studio producer, Mr. Paul Breck, and my sidekick and co-host, Mr. Greg Fishbach. Gentlemen, how are you? How did the week go?
It went pretty well. I'm glad to be here.
Me too. I'm excited. Tennis.
This is your
whole
sport,
life.
Greg.
Yeah. I'm ready.
This is your sport. All right, so that means you guys are going to get asked some deep tennis questions here with Greg's expertise in tennis from his tennis career. We're excited to be here. It's another beautiful morning here on the campus. We've got a new day for the tennis program. So let me first kind of give some background. For our listeners that aren't aware, Coach Hendrik Bodie, the former coach, concluded his distinguished 14-year career here at HPU, and he is now the new head coach at the University of Hawaii, and we wish him all the best and success in that program. Coach Bodie left a great legacy of success here at HPU. It included over 200 career wins, 6 Pac-West championships with the men's team. He had guided the team to 2 NCAA final appearances and won the NCAA championship in 2016. In 2015, he was named NCAA Division II Coach of the Year, and he left a lasting legacy of success and excellence in the program. And Dan, you've inherited that success. So let me first formally welcome you to HPU. It's great to have you here.
Appreciate it. No pressure after that intro,
right?
Pressure. Holy smokes.
You've got a 14-year legacy of success, but I have no doubt that you're going to take our program to even higher heights. You've had a distinguished career joining us here for the first year, and you're in charge of both the men's and women's programs. But your coaching career is just remarkable, spanning schools like Johns Hopkins, where you most recently were coaching. Prior to that, you were at University of Maryland. You'd coached at Butler, Utah, BYU, University of Idaho, and University of Illinois, going back some, 15, 16, 17 years now. So
I try not to count anymore.
I know. You just want to forget at some point. But you've had just a striking career. Striking's a good word for us right today.
Perfect.
But tell us a little bit about your history and what brought you to HPU ultimately.
Yeah, I came over at 18 from England to play college tennis in the U.S. and I started my career over in South Carolina, and that was not a good fit for me at the school I was at, and so I ended up actually transferring over to Hilo, so rivals, right? And I guess on that team, even looking back then, we were always a little jealous of our HPU rivals over here living the city life in Honolulu and having everything we had plus a little more, it seemed like. But honestly, ever since then, the culture of Hawaii was always a place I wanted to be back. This was always the goal for me, was to, do what I love in the place that I love. Hawaii's always felt like a second home, and now it's my first home. So
Very nice.
Excited to be back.
And you have a history here, and does it feel strange though? You played at Hilo. We'll talk a little bit about the Rivalries documentary shortly. But yeah, you kind of jumped ship to the, I wouldn't say the enemy, but certainly the competitive.
Second time I did that from BYU to Utah as well, so I'm getting a reputation out there. Huh? No, honestly, it's such a long time ago, and as you'll talk about with the rivalry, it's such a friendly rivalry as well, right? Like both teams are pushing for Hawaii schools to be as good as they can, right, in the nation, and so doesn't feel bad at all. There's no hard feelings. I was actually talking to my former college coach, who's now the associate athletic director at Hilo yesterday, and so we were talking a little bit about recruiting and how there might even be someone that he knows that could help our program. So the programs are always trying to help each other. So
yeah. Well, it's friendly competition for sure, and that's again one of the nicer things about Division II sports is it isn't quite as cutthroat maybe as Division I, and there's an emphasis on academic success as well as success on the court in this case. Well, you brought along two standout players from the team. We have with us hailing from Prague in the Czech Republic, Mr. Adam Vasir. He is a sophomore. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thank you. No, it's on. Yeah.
There we go.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you with us this morning, and we're going to get into some questions here in a sec. But I also want to introduce Mr. Julius. He is a freshman, hailing from. I'm going to even take a shot at this. Pforzheim, Germany.
Yeah, Pforzheim.
Pforzheim.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm actually a junior. I just transferred here.
Ah, okay.
Junior.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we will have to make sure we note that. So you're a junior, so you have some college experience. So this is
I do.
old hat for you now.
Not old head because it's still new, but I mean, like, not a lot of things surprise me anymore. You know, like on the court. Like when I first came to America, a lot of things surprised me, but now I'm more used to it. I'm not used to Hawaii yet, but I'm used to the college life.
What was surprising when you first came here? What was
when I first came
to the States?
To the States. You mean about the matches or about the people?
About anything. What? There's a lot of surprising things, but I'm curious to know what was top of your list.
So top of list is that people are just way different than back home. Like here, people are more open. They're trying to help you. Like back home, everybody's more like to themselves, you know. And if I don't have to help you, I'm not gonna help you. But here, people are actually offering and want to do good for you. And tennis is just way different. Like the people have a different mentality here. The rules are a little bit different. Everybody act a little crazier.
Yep.
So.
Well, I think you're talking about the spirit of aloha. It says to me, when everybody wants to help, everybody pitches in, and that's a wonderful thing about the community here, particularly in the state of Hawaii and here on Oahu, is that feeling of community and connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Adam, so let me bring you into the conversation as well here. So, so give us a little sense of your tennis history and what brought you here and what you find exciting about playing here at HPU.
So I've been playing tennis since I was 6 years old, and getting older and older. I think at some point I realized I'm not gonna become a pro, and yeah, I'm all for new experience. So seeing the opportunity to go to United States and try something completely different, I think that was what I wanted at the time. So when I started looking into it a bit more, and Hendrik Bodie gave me opportunity to come to Hawaii and play here, it didn't take me long to decide and to commit to come to this school. So yeah.
Had you been to Hawaii before you made that decision?
No.
Okay.
I've been to West Coast when I was probably 13 years old with my family. Yeah, and it was something I definitely had no clue that it's gonna happen in the future. But I'm so happy with my decision to be here. Like the community, the lifestyle, and everything. That's exactly what suits me, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a big step to come to a place that you really hadn't been to before. And Julia, same question. Had you had experience in Hawaii before you made the decision to come out?
So actually, one player from my club back home, he went here, and then I know like 3 other German guys that were on the team. Like it was 10 years back, but I know them, and my friend from the club, he gave me the coach's number, and like he kind of told me how it was and everything. Like it made everything easier, so I kind of knew what to expect, but yes, still some things are new.
Yeah. I assume that both of you are having great experiences and feel like this is just the amazing place that it is, and feel great about that decision, I hope.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Coach, so The HPU has a strong history of international students coming here, and the tennis team has been one of the programs that leads the way in international student recruitment. All three of you are internationally experienced. So, tell us a little bit about how you blend, folks from different parts of the world all together, so quickly to create that team chemistry that breeds success.
Yeah, I think in a way, actually, that helps, right? Because they are all going through some similar situations, right? They may have different cultures back home, but the situation that they find themselves in is they are 11, 12 time zones away from their family, right? They are in a completely new space, right? And so if something goes wrong, they're leaning on each other, right, to help them through those situations. So actually bringing them and putting them in this spot, I think actually really does help them grow together and lean on each other more quickly, and that's how they become more like a family. Yeah, I mean it really does when they come and they're just kind of dropped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Who else are they going to turn to but their teammates?
Do you feel, from your experience, is it easier to bring together, an international team where you do have people that truly have different life experiences versus a program maybe that just recruits from the mainland or the States, I should say, but everybody's kind of coming from a similar experience. It might be from a different state, but there isn't the vast differences in life experience that you see with international players.
Honestly, it varies program to program. One of the things that it was a great coach from USC told me a long time ago was you should never have too many players on your team from the same zip code. Okay. Right? And it's like, actually, that was the worst. He had the most talented team that he'd ever had, and they were all from like a 5-mile radius of Orange County, and they just couldn't succeed. And he said he felt like that lack of diversity, that lack of kind of different experiences, it just didn't work. And so I think having a blend, whether it's players from different areas of the mainland, different countries, bringing those experiences in, learning from each other, having to learn to be tolerant of differences, is really helpful for your program.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's the secret to success in so many things, is bringing people together with different perspectives, and letting them figure it out together and build that support mechanism around each other. So, all right. So, hey, we're going to do a quick commercial break. But before we do, I just want to give a big shout out to one of our amazing sponsors, Aiea Bowl. Thank you so much for your support of Sharks Weekly, Hawaii's only hyper bowling center. Aiea Bowl, a new experience in entertainment. Definitely go check that out if you're interested in bowling. So we'll take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back. You're listening to Sharks Weekly. I'm your host, Jeff Rich, and we're talking tennis today.
You're listening to Sharks Weekly on the Hawaii Sports Radio Networks, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
And we're back live, broadcasting Thursday morning from the DSE Hawaii Esports Arena. We're talking HPU tennis today. So, Coach Pollock, let's start to talk a little about the season and kind of where things are at today and your sense of the team, the chemistry. You guys were recently at the ITA playoffs. Tell us a bit about that experience.
Yeah, we just got back from Azusa, so Inland Empire, I guess, not Los Angeles, over in California, playing the West Regional Championships over there. It's kind of invitational for the schools from Colorado to Hawaii. 64 players in the draw. And we were, fortunate to have some good success. Julius here, out of the 64 players in, he was one of the last 4 standing. Adam was one of the last 8 standing. So, really, really impressive performance from these guys so early on in the semester. So excited to kind of try and build on that performance moving forwards. Especially, you have a new guy come in, barely practiced. Doesn't feel like he'll always tell you he's not playing his best tennis, but doesn't feel like he's really hit his stride yet, and he's one of the best 4 players in the region right off the bat. You can't complain too much about that performance.
Yep, and what's the strength of the team as you see it? Is it a serve and volley team? Is it strong serve? But what is there, or is it just a smattering? You have different players, different sort of tempos they play, and
there's so much skill on our side of the ball. I mean, we really do have, I hate the word talent, because that starts to move away from things that we work for into things that are, we just own when we're born. I think these guys work pretty hard to be as good as they are. But there's a lot of skill in terms of hitting a tennis ball on our side of the ball. Now bringing it together, adding a little discipline, understanding how to use our strengths. But there's not one style out there for our guys. Everyone's playing a little different. Everyone has a different stature, different strengths, different weaknesses. But yeah, we can play some ball.
Very nice.
Talking about in Hawaii, we love tennis in Hawaii, and we really haven't seen a top 50 or top 100 player on the pro tour yet from Hawaii. And I'm wondering, what advice would you give Hawaii juniors, that are looking to be the next Nadal, Federer, Djokovic?
Yeah, compete. Right, that's the biggest thing, that it's so hard for Hawaii kids, right? You look at SoCal and you look at Florida, right, and those are the places where those players are coming from, and they're densely populated areas where there's so much competition, and every week they can go and find
keep
more
playing
and more.
Every week.
Yeah, more and more competition you can get. The Hawaii tennis community is quite small. It's a long way to travel to compete. You gotta compete. Once you hit that 14, 15 years old, and it's tough. We're 2,500 miles away from competition. It's hard.
What about if we're looking at height in tennis? It's significantly increased. We're seeing players over 6 feet tall, right? Back when we had Agassi, who was under 6 feet, Chang, right? So what advice would you give, maybe shorter players who are looking to compete against the taller players? Yeah. And is height really an advantage?
Yeah, ping pong's a good sport. No, I'm just kidding.
Or maybe pickleball now?
No, you're so right. We were just talking about it in the car and with one of the other players. I was like, when I was playing, I'm 5'11", right, and shrinking, and movement used to be my thing, right? The big guys couldn't move as well as I could move, so at least I had something. Right. Now you've got guys like Medvedev on the Pro Tour who's moving
so well.
6'6" and is moving like Michael Chang. Right. Back in the day, who was 5'9", and so you've got to be able to. Julius and Adam are great examples. Neither of them are giants, but movement is going to be your friend. Being able to find ways to fight your way into points past those massive serves that those big guys have is huge. And trying to pit your movement up against their, powerful striking is the way to go. But it's hard. You got to have some good variety.
As a
game.
shorter player, looking at return of serve is important, right? Yeah. So what other things could shorter players do?
Variety
versus somebody 6'6".
Yeah, variety is good. This guy can slice the ball so it barely bounces, right, and keeps that ball low on those big guys. Getting that out of their strike zone, finding ways to move them, right, so they can't just set up and absolutely tee off on balls is the way to go. But not easy.
Yeah.
Not easy.
What do you guys? Do you guys have any recommendations for if you have a player that's 6'5" or 6'3" that has a huge serve?
Yeah, if I play against somebody like that. Or you mean advice for shorter players?
Sure, if you play against somebody like that.
So honestly, you need to have a good serve. Doesn't matter how, if you're tall or short.
You just have to have a really, really powerful serve. Right?
Powerful, and placement also, and high percentage. So you cannot be an excuse that I'm not the tallest, but I cannot say, I lost because the other guy was taller. That. Then I can say it after every match. But you're short, but you still have to have a good serve. Obviously, movement and just
movement on the baseline.
Yeah, baseline, but also how you say that, moving from left to right, but also to the net. So no excuses. You just have to work with. You have
to find a way to right.
Yeah.
Right.
Adam, what about you? You've got some height. So you're 6 feet, 165.
There you go, 6 feet.
So a little bit. You're 5'11", Julius. So you guys are kind of similar. But what do you think? What's your style?
Yeah, I think with my head, I have to be complex. It's not that I can rip off every serve and then just come to the net, like the guys that are 6.6. So yeah, I think it's finding what works for you the best, no matter what how tall you are. I wouldn't say I have a perfect serve or tough serve. I'm mostly comfortable in rallies, so I'm trying to be able to play all the styles. come to the net, attack with forehand, stay solid, be able to defend when I have to. Yeah.
What about court surface? I mean, is hard court better for taller players, or grass? We're looking at clay.
Yeah.
Here we have hard
I think
court,
we can.
but
Yeah, I think we can definitely say that hard courts or grass courts are better for tall
Taller
guys. Yeah.
so clay, we're looking maybe you can, but we don't have clay courts.
Yeah,
but
I think on a clay, the difference between tall and shorter guys is getting smaller.
Oh, okay.
The
Well, it
serve
slows
is
the
not
game
as-
down, right?
Yeah, it slows the
Yeah.
game down. The serve is not as powerful. You can use a lot of topspin to really push the guy
Sliding.
back. Yeah,
Mhm.
you can move faster around. You have more time in general. So
Yeah, I've got a question for you, Coach. So, when you're working with your players, do you I know probably to some degree every player is different, right? And you motivate them in different ways. But as a coaching paradigm in tennis, do you really try and coach your players to play their game regardless of their opponent and try and dictate the pace or play a style that is comfortable? Or are you telling them, figure out your opponent's strengths and weaknesses and adapt your style to have more success? So if you're a serve and volley player, but this player just you power through it and hit some strong baseline shots, and they're more vulnerable, that you might tell a player to kind of shift their strategy or their strengths.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like you've got to do you, right? And there's certain decisions on a tennis court that no matter how you play are good decisions, and certain decisions that are bad decisions, right? But when you get into a situation where you can attack a weakness, right? That's where you're going to make those changes, right? Like, can this player handle X or Y strategy, right? There's certain areas of the court where you can expose those weaknesses based on who you're playing, but there's certain decisions, no matter how you play, that are good and bad decisions on a tennis court. And so actually that's what we focus on a little bit more in practice is hey, these are kind of generic situations that everybody needs to be able to do comfortably, and then we can work on what works, a little bit more through match play when we play different opponents.
Got it. Now, from the player's point of view, so if you're getting that type of coaching advice, how do you then take that and execute it on the court? Are you, for example, if you're being told, okay, this player is, weak against this sort of play, are you looking for opportunities, shot by shot, to change your style, or do you wholeheartedly change your approach to that match once you know that player's strengths and weaknesses?
So the thing is, it's easier from the outside to see like what's going on. So like sometimes on the court, like I play and then I'm down. Like maybe I lost the first set, but I don't really know what went wrong because I'm playing and I have to focus on myself, like to make the shots. But then coach, maybe from the outside, he sees what's going on, so then he can tell you, like, do this and this, or this works, this doesn't work. And apart from that, maybe just like it was super hot where we were in Azusa, and the matches were long, and then Dan was just like after, like on the bench, like, take a deep breath, like control your breathing so I can get energy back, and I'm not like, because if I'm breathing fast and I'm like, then my mind's not working as well. And he was just like, okay, like we were counting my breath, and like this just helps because like he's not gonna say hit a better, like if you say hit a better forehand, like this doesn't help anybody. So yeah, stuff like that really helps.
And also, I mean, Adam's going to jump in, but it's different by player, right? Yeah. Like Julius is a guy who's going to play his tennis, right? And it doesn't really matter who he's playing. There's so much skill here. There's so much speed. He's got the ability to do a lot of different things, right? Adam's got different skills, but he's someone that we're going to talk through a little bit more about actually like the nuts and bolts of the point, right? So we're talking more about, hey, early on in the point, this is what you're looking to do, right? I think Julius plays a little bit more reactively, right? And he likes to play in the moment. Adam likes to plan things a little bit more. Yep. So we've got to be different by player as well.
Yeah, I honestly enjoy to have a coach on court with me. As Julius said, sometimes it's hard to see what's right in front of us when we are playing and we're in the battle. So I value different opinions and advices, how to do things. Yeah, I agree with Coach that I like to plan things a bit more. And it definitely worked. At least in Azusa, I think what we always planned eventually in the end worked, and yeah, was a good experience to be
Very nice. And I think, the key word here is adaptability, right? And figuring out. And there are times when, you've got a dominant player maybe, you're going to say take it to the other player and you play your game and let you dictate the pace, and then other times varying it might meet with more success. All right, this is an interesting conversation about the tactics players leverage. So we're going to take another quick commercial break. You are listening to Sharks Weekly live, and it's just as a reminder, you can always catch these shows recorded on our YouTube channel, or visit the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, where all the shows are archived. You can catch all the great conversations with HPU coaches and athletes. Thank you also to another one of our fantastic sponsors, Duke's Waikiki. It's an iconic establishment in Waikiki. Duke's Waikiki celebrates an atmosphere that encompasses surfing, the spirit of Hawaii, and live music on the beach. Definitely check it out on Sunday nights and catch Henry Capono. If you're around, it's a fun place to hang. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. You're listening to Sharks Weekly.
You're listening to Sharks Weekly on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Networks, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
And we're back. You're listening to Sharks Weekly. I'm your host, Jeff Rich. We are talking men's tennis today. Coach, we were talking just before the break about some of the coaching techniques and tactical execution that the players pick up on. Let's talk more broadly about chemistry building within a team. Any sport that's not purely an individual sport relies on team chemistry. Support that you get from your teammates. In Division II also, it's not always just about the success on the court. It's about the experience of college, the experience of teamwork, and all the things that Division II sports allow us to do. Give us a sense of your coaching style, and how do you go about creating that team chemistry, and what sort of activities has the team been doing here early in the semester?
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's honestly what it's all about, right? Like what we do, we love our sport, we love coaching tennis. I love the nuts and bolts of hitting a yellow ball around a big square, right, and trying to be really good at it. But at the end of the day, this is about interpersonal relationships. It's about building life skills through our sport. It's about making relationships that last a lifetime. I look back at my college career and doing a speech at a wedding in Denmark for my doubles partner, and these kind of things are just things you don't get if you're not a student athlete. It is amazing. The amount of time that you can spend together off the court is huge. We've done one service project so far over at our host site, Kailua Racket Club. We did a little clinic there for their members, just to get to know them a little bit. That's a good support group that we have. So that was kind of our first time really together as a team, and men's and women's team both there together. And then one thing we're trying to do too is just bring a little Hawaii into our program, right? So we do our morning workouts at the beach down at Ala Moana all together as a men's and women's program. And then we, every Friday, instead of working out in the morning, we go after practice to Kailua Beach Park. We do a little work out there, then we grab some pizza and go for a swim together and have a little Aloha Fridays.
At the club, or do you guys head over to
we go to the beach? We go to the beach, yeah.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah, so that's a great recruit. That's why we bring all our recruits in on Fridays. It's really great. I mean, for these guys right now, we're a really small group. So in some ways, that can be almost a little bit more challenging with building that, because they get a lot of each other all the time, right? And sometimes they just need a little bit of separation. With bigger teams, it's a little bit easier to spend more time together because you're not always face to face with the exact same person. So as we move into the spring, it's going to get a little bit easier for them to just kind of naturally have that. But we are trying to spend a little bit of time together off the court, and they get to see me kind of goof around and try to swim in the waves as well a little bit. And
not a good swimmer?
No, I'm just kidding. I love it. There's no one that runs faster and dives into the ocean more quickly after practice than me, and ditch and go.
Wow. Well, from the team's point of view, I mean, you guys are at a couple of pretty nice spots. If you're practicing in the mornings over at Ala Moana, and I assume they got the beach right across the road there from the tennis courts. Kailua, one
Can't
of those.
beat Kailua.
Yes, Kailua, just an amazing beach. So from the player's point of view, talk a little bit about how the team building is approached from your point of view, and the benefit that you guys get of both facilitated team building that coach may be developing, but then also what do you guys do when you're on your own? Are you, all kind of going off your separate directions? Do you come together and do a lot as a team, or are there, factions within the team that have developed some friendships?
Yeah, as coach said, in such a small team as we have this fall, just being 5 of us boys and 5 girls, it almost feels like a family, like a small family meetings instead of like team practices. Luckily, we all go along pretty well with each other. So, yeah, I mean, right now after 1 month, I feel super bonded with everyone. That's definitely a huge plus to this side of having a small team. We do spend some time together outside of the court, but if you look at the practice hours, it's 4 times per week, workout 1 hour, then every day it's practice for 2 hours. So even without spending the time together outside of the court, we do spend about, 16 hours together per week. So yeah, that's
a lot of time to bond.
Yeah.
It is. So sometimes we all need a bit of time for ourselves, I would say. But yeah, it's been nothing but great so far.
Wow. Well, Julius, what's your point of view, and tell us a bit about your experience in team building and chemistry creation?
So actually, like on the first, because me and Finn, the other German teammate, like we were here a week earlier, but then as soon as the guys came, I think one day after Mile, Jacob and Adam came, like they invited us to, what was the restaurant? Yard House. Yeah, they invited us to go to Yard House. So every day, like from the first day on, we were like we got to know them super quickly. Like they offered us help. Like if we need anything, we should just come to them. And then so me and Finn, we live we all kind of live apart. Like Jacob and Mile stay together, Adam stays at his own, and me and Finn, we stay at the new residences. So we don't see each other that much, but honestly, like we see each other in the morning, then we see each other in the afternoon, and I'm like, okay, in the evening I also want to have some time to myself. But I think like we bonded pretty good on the trip. Like on the trip, you're together 24/7. Like you share a hotel room, you drive together, you warm up together, you support you support each other during the matches. Then you have dinner together. So I think we bonded really good the last few days.
It's a lot of time together. Yeah.
A lot.
What would you say is the team's number one team activity that's not official? Like if you guys are going to do something as a group, and you kind of are debating, okay, what are we going to do? What's the thing the team likes to do together the most?
I think there's a easy answer for that. It's going to the beach.
Okay.
Yeah, not unexpected.
Somehow that always comes up on this show.
Right.
I wonder why.
Well, yeah.
And nobody escapes this show without answering the key question, Greg. Of
favorite beach.
Favorite beach, yes.
That's a good question.
Actually, I was kind of surprised when Finn, our teammate, his first week he was here, when he said that he doesn't like to go to the ocean and to the beach because then he feels like the sand is everywhere. And I remember all of us just staring at him and asking, like, why did you choose Hawaii?
Yeah, that's
Well,
strange.
he's probably not a clay court player then.
Yeah, probably. But I think he's getting used to it and he's starting to like it. And by the end of the year, he's definitely going to be liking it.
Okay.
We're going to work on that.
Nice. Well, so I assume you've done a tour of beaches around Oahu now. Which is the one that stands out most to you as your favorite?
Makapu Beach or Sunset Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good choices. Good choices. All right, you're up, Julius. You got a same question. Favorite beach.
So I only been to Ala Moana, and what is the one?
Well, Kailua too, right?
Kailua.
Yeah.
Kailua,
Okay.
yeah. Ala Moana is better for me.
Oh.
I don't know. Like I've been there, and I don't know. I just liked it there. Like there are tennis courts there, and then after I played, I went there, and one time like separate. I like it there, so I'm like I cannot choose. Like
Yeah.
I haven't seen it all, so I'm just gonna say this one.
Well, we definitely got to get you out and see a few more. But I agree. Mine, I always say, is Ala Moana's because I live close.
Right.
But I'm a paddleboarder. It's nice and smooth and easy to get out there. It's definitely top of my
And
list.
we have fitness there in the morning, so I mean the waking up for 7 a.m. is hard, but then you're at the beach and it makes it a little bit
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
And you see other people also working out there all the time, so it makes like I feel like you're not on your own,
Yeah.
And they're doing it like voluntarily. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, Coach, you got to answer the question too, and don't say Hilo or some
No,
beach on another island.
Not Hapuna. No. No. I mean, I love the beaches of the North Shore. Love Waimanalo, but I actually most nights try to get down to Makalei Beach Park right off Diamond Head because there's only about 3-4 people there.
Okay.
And just get a 30-minute dip in the ocean, little refresh before I jump back on the computer and start hitting up the European recruits. So
There you go.
That's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's so nice.
And talking about, college tennis, there's two real paths. There's college tennis and the pro tennis path. If you're 16 or 17, what path could you take? What do you recommend? And what does a junior player gain from competing on a college tennis team besides what we've already heard here?
Honestly, if you are not really one of the absolute best juniors in the world and already kind of succeeding a little bit on the pro tour, like why would you not go to college? Right? It's almost like a soft launch of a restaurant, right? Like you get to soft launch your career, right? You get to play at the same level, you get the free coaching, free physical therapy, free fitness, you get all these things, and guess what? If you lose, right, we still fly you home and we still feed you, right? You know what I mean?
You're not on your own, right, on the pro
exactly,
tour,
right? So you're getting the treatment that somebody would get if they're a top 100 level pro, right? And you're getting it all for free, right? Nobody outside of that range can afford what you get in college tennis. So I've had so many players that have tried to play pro and then come back into college tennis and just been like, what was I thinking?
Do we see college players that excel and then become pro? Does that happen often, or is that harder?
It's really becoming a more common pathway. The college to pro pathway, our governing body is pushing it hard.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, so your NCAA champion is getting a wild card into the U.S. Open main draw, and so it's really a big push now. They're bringing a lot of pro events to college campuses.
I think that makes sense, right? Because having a 16 or 17-year-old pushed into the pro tour versus going to college, getting all that experience, right, all that teamwork, and then being on the college tour when you're 20 or 21.
Especially as you see the age of pros growing, right? Like we're seeing people play into their
30s,
30s, close
40.
to 40, right? With Roger and Novak. So get a little maturity.
And I imagine NIL has made it a lot easier to keep students in and get them to come to college versus jumping right into the pros to monetize their skill. All right. Well, hey, we got to take one more commercial break, then we'll head into our last segment of this morning's show. And before we do, another shout out to another one of our amazing sponsors, Hula Grill, right on top of Duke's Waikiki, by the way. So if you're there, check both places out. But they take in a fiery sunset while savoring the vibrant flavors of the island. Check out the Hula Grill.
Oh,
wonderful place. There you go. All right, another commercial break, and then we'll be back talking tennis.
You're listening to Sharks Weekly on the Hawaii Sports Radio Networks, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
And we're back talking live here on Thursday morning at the HPU Esports Arena, powered by DSE Hawaii. I'm your host, Jeff Rich, and you're listening to Sharks Weekly. So let's jump back into HPU Sports here. And Greg,
Sure.
You are our man out in the field.
Out in the field.
Try and keep your finger on the pulse of HPU Sports. So maybe give us a little look back at what's happened over the last week and a look forward.
Sure. So men's soccer, September 28, HPU defeated UH Hilo 3-2 in a thrilling Pac West opener. Goals, Shota Fukunishi scored, assisted by Kelly Takara, and then Kelly scored, assisted by Jude Boyd, and then Jonathan Sorto scored as well. So the victory brings HPU's overall record to 2-5 and 2-0 in conference play. Women's soccer, September 28, HPU lost to UH Hilo 1-2, with Lizette Almanza scoring HPU's lone goal in the last 3 seconds. And women's volleyball, October 1st, HPU won 3-2 against Dominican University of California in a closely contested match.
Nice. Successful
Yeah,
week.
exciting.
Well, what's coming up? What's ahead
Coming
here
up.
for the week of the 3rd to the 10th?
So men's soccer, we have October 3 versus Dominican University at 4:30 p.m. October 6 versus Academy of Art at 12:30 p.m. October 9, we have William Jessup University at 4:30 p.m. Women's soccer, October 3rd versus Dominican University at 7 p.m. October 6 versus Academy of Art at 3 p.m. And October 9, we have William Jessup University at 7 p.m. And last, women's volleyball, October 3rd, we have Fresno Pacific University at 6 o'clock p.m. October 5 versus Academy of Art. And October 10 versus Biola at the Shark Tank.
Nice. So a full week ahead.
I know.
And a lot to look forward to. Paul, anything on your radar? You're out and about covering sports all over the island. What are you looking forward to this week?
I don't have anything too crazy. The NBA is in town on island, so I'll be there helping out.
Is that up
the
at
Clippers.
the BYU?
So yeah, the Warriors are over at BYU Hawaii. The Clippers are down at UH. I'll cover that game. It'll be a lot of fun. Hang out there, and then slowly but surely getting ready. Going to have a preview piece coming out on men's basketball for HPU upcoming. They were our guest last week. In case you guys missed that show, be sure you go tune into that and catch any of our previous Sharks Weekly recordings on our YouTube channel. That's Hawaii Sports Radio Network. And this one will also be up on our YouTube later this weekend. It'll be exciting. A lot of really fun conversations from today. Don't want to miss this one.
Very nice. And as Paul said, you can keep up to date on all the college sports happening around the island, both HPU, UH, by visiting the Hawaii Sports Radio Network website and seeing all the great content that they've created. So, we've talked a little bit about Hilo, with your history at Hilo, and it wasn't too long ago that the HPU men's team participated in a documentary called Rivalries. Have you guys had a chance to check that out? And let's talk a little about that. So you lived that rivalry. You're living it again right now, Coach.
Yeah.
The other side.
No, it's a beautiful thing, right? Like it's so fierce, the rivalry between the two schools, and just honestly, Oahu versus Outer Island, and all these things play into it, right? And but at the same time, when they're not playing each other, you just want the other team to win. Yeah. Like if HPU goes to Florida, UH Hilo wants them to beat Barry, wants them to beat Flagler. Like we're pulling for Hawaii. But yeah, it's fierce when they go after it with each other, but they're also trying to make each other better for the outside stuff.
Yep. And how do you guys feel when you're up against a program like Hilo? Is there a little special incentive, or do you feel that competitive vibe, even being newer to HPU, but you still kind of pick up on it?
I mean, I cannot say anything because I haven't played them, and I know anybody, so I'll let Adam in.
But you circled it on the schedule, though, right? Tell me.
I know we're playing them.
Yeah, it's an honest response.
Yeah, it always feels special to play them. Last year with the documentary being filmed while we were playing them, it added even more spice to the game. I think it was actually the closest game we've played last season. It went completely down the wire. Free all, deciding match on position number 1. Our captain Robin against their captain Rio, Hawaiian guy. While the sun was setting, yeah, it's hard to describe.
Very
the atmosphere.
dramatic.
Yeah, very dramatic. I think if you watch the episode, you're gonna get a better sense of what it feels like, but also it's kind of indescribable from the point of view that us players experience during the match.
Yep. Well, for our listeners that haven't seen it, definitely check out the documentary. We'll try and get a link posted. I think we had posted it previously, but we'll repost it again since we're talking tennis. So look for that and catch a great documentary about the rivalry between HPU and UH Hilo. Greg, you played college tennis. Any team that your experience you guys got especially up for, and how did that affect your play?
I think mainly high school tennis. We had a lot of rivalries. I played for Kalani, and Kaiser was always a rivalry, and Punahou was always a great team. Iolani. So, playing those teams, you learn so much just getting on the court, right? You kind of get better as soon as you play these really competitive players. And I agree. The rivalry is fantastic. Are you guys singles or doubles players? I didn't ask. Or are you both?
I'm a singles player.
Singles player.
Oh wait.
He has no choice.
Yeah, I had to look at it then. I don't think words that I'm doubles players can come out of my mouth at the
Singles.
moment.
Okay.
So I was singles too, right?
No, they're both great at both. We're working on Adam's confidence on the doubles court, as you can tell.
Yeah.
He's a little.
To be a good volleyer.
I imagine it adds a dimension to your game, and I think I would assume from a coaching standpoint, you get a lot of players that maybe haven't played much doubles that come in. It's all singles, but what dimension does that add to your game if you haven't played a lot of doubles, but you now have to play with a teammate and collaborate?
So doubles, for me, doubles helps with returning, because for me it's even harder to return in doubles, because you only have you can.
You're right.
You should aim the return back to the guy at the baseline, so you only have half of the court. So it helps with serve and return and maybe reaction volleys. So I think if we start, because usually in college you start with doubles and then after the doubles is done you play singles. So I like it because it gets me it gets me ready, it gets me where I want to be.
So
Yeah.
it's a big momentum builder if you can win that doubles point.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Nice.
Adam just sees Julius's forehand winding up and he just starts running. Right?
Well, this has been a great conversation and a great show. I want to thank HPU Men's Tennis, our new coach Dan Pollock, and Adam Vasir and Julius Hell. Thank you so much, guys, for joining the show. Greg,
great.
thanks for your
Thank you.
contributions, and Paul. So we'll be back next week with another live edition of Sharks Weekly. Please subscribe to the show and check it out on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Jeff Rich, and have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Thursday.
You've been listening to the Hawaii Sports Radio Network's special presentation of Sharks Weekly in conjunction with Hawaii Pacific University on 95.1 FM and AM 760.